right. All right, I'm going to call the September 11th, 2025 meeting of the Fairfax County Architectural Review Board to order. First, we have to do a couple of motions. The first motion is audibility of any remote board member participants. I need to verify that for each member participating remotely, the remote participant's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for the meeting room, confirmation of their location, and that their remote participation comports with the policy. Board member Daniel, can you please state for the record your location and the reason you are participating remotely?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Vice Chairman Daniel reporting from my home in Reston, Virginia, at a request to recovery from a recent surgery.
All right. May I have a motion? Ms. Mangum.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Board Member Daniel can be clearly heard and that his remote participation comports with the policy.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Kalinsky. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. The second motion is for public comment time limitations. The ARB needs to determine how long each member of the public will be able to speak during the public comment period. The public will be allowed to comment after the consent agenda items and after each action item is a standard ARB practice. Is there a motion? Mr. Kalinsky.
I move that each member of the public have 3 minutes to speak.
Is there a second? Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Each member of the public will have 3 minutes to speak after consent and an action agenda item. This meeting is being recorded, and the recorded will be posted online within 10 days. As standard ARB practice, we also read the statement of purpose and intent of historic overlay districts, and Mr. Burns has kindly agreed to read this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Historic overlay districts are created for the purpose of promoting the general welfare, education, economic prosperity, and recreational pleasure of the public through the perpetuation of those general areas or individual structures and premises that are beneficially designated by the Board of Supervisors as having historical, cultural, architectural, or archaeological significance. Regulations within such districts are intended to protect against destruction of or encroachment upon such areas, structures, and premises, to encourage uses which will lead to their continuance, conservation, and improvement in a manner appropriate to the preservation of the cultural, social, economic, political, architectural, or archaeological heritage of the county, to prevent creation of environmental influences adverse to such purposes, and to assure that new structures and uses within such districts will be in keeping with the character to be preserved and enhanced.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Next, we have to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to either approve or modify the agenda? Ms. Mangum.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the agenda to remove action item number 4 at the applicant's request.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor to modify the agenda to eliminate action item number 4 at the applicant's request? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The agenda is approved as modified. I would remind applicants to please limit your presentations to 8 minutes for a first submission, and if it's a resubmission, please limit it to 3 minutes and focus on what has changed since the last time you presented to the board. Jason, do we have any guests we need to recognize this evening? Not tonight. All right, thank you. All right, so that brings us into our agenda. First is consent calendar action item number 1, which is ARB 2025 DR 00040 and 9912 Hessex Court Deck and the Colvin Run Mill Historic Overlay District. The applicant is proposing to refurbish the existing deck. Existing framing and layout will remain the same. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this? Okay. Not seeing anybody. Is there any discussion from the board? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion. Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 2025 DR 00040, located at 9212 Hessex Court, Great Falls, tax map 0191130004 in the Colvin Run Mill Historic Overlay District for the proposed refurbishment of the existing deck as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025-DR00040 as approved by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101, historic overlay districts.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Is there a second? Mr. Kalinsky. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, that brings us to consent item number 2, which is ARB 2025 MV 00026, 9518 Workhouse Way egress door replacements in the Laurel Hill MOA eligible district. The applicant is proposing to replace 7 existing deteriorated egress doors at buildings W4, W6, W7, W8, W9, W10, and W11. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this application? Not seeing any. Is there any discussion from the board or a motion? Mr. Kalinsky.
I'm happy to make a motion for approval. Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 2025 MV 00026 located at 9518 Workhouse Way, Lorton, tax map 10640100058 in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible district for the proposed replacement of 7 egress doors as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025 ARB meeting. Applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 MV 00026 as approved by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposals found to meet the requirements of the Memorandum of Agreement of the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay district.
Thank you, Mr. Kalinsky. Is there a second? Mr. Plumpy, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, Mr. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. That brings us into our items for action. Our first item for action on the agenda is ARB 2025 MV 00047 7301 Stafford Road storm damage repairs. The applicant is proposing to complete storm damage repairs, and Rebecca Bostic represents the application.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bostic, before you begin, Mr. Burns, you have a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, John Burns, declare my personal interest in transactions brought before the Architectural Review Board involving the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District, and specifically state the following for the September 11th, 2025 ARB meeting. Although it is the opinion of the County Attorney's Office that generally I am not legally required to make a formal disclosure statement before reviewing ARB cases in Holland Hills, I am making this statement regarding the 3 action items and the 1 workshop item on the September agenda in the interest of transparency and to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. I own and reside a home in Holland Hills HOD. The properties under consideration tonight are not adjacent to or visible from my property. I have not worked with or received a gift or benefit from anyone associated with these projects. Accordingly, I am able to participate in the transactions fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Ms. Bostic.
Okay. I am presenting to you tonight for this roof replacement project. The Chavez family had 3 trees fall on the house and smash it pretty nicely. Because the roof framing is truss members, most of them have been badly damaged on the right end of the house. We do have to get a building permit, thus I was told we need to be here. But in addition to that, the owner also wants to replace the roof with asphalt shingles as opposed to the built-up roofing in place. Some of it just comes down to be a cost factor. Our repair is going to pretty much put the house back exactly as is there in terms of size, shape, windows, siding. I will point out the windows are old single pane glass windows, and the 2 end bedrooms have sliding windows. The wood frame is the typical Holland Hills wood frame window with the window unit inserted, and we will go back to that, but I am not adding the sliding windows back. I'm putting a 3-foot window for casement, and we'll just use the exact same opening, but we'll divide it in thirds and use one of the panes to be a casement window. I am not able to get in there and measure. The picture that you see with the windows was the owner just pulling the tarp up and I stuck my camera under. Right now it's not safe, so I don't have exact measurements, but the plans kind of give you what we expect to be there. The siding will be tongue and groove to match back what's there. The brick on the rear wall will be reset along the top of the wall because it also got some damage, but there's no changes to the wall. The roof, when we started this project a couple weeks ago, the owner said we were definitely going to replace with asphalt shingles, but I found out on Tuesday that the insurance company is trying to decide whether they want to pay to replace the whole roof, in which case they will only pay for asphalt shingles, or if they're only going to pay for a portion that was damaged, in which case we will keep it built up roofing to match the existing. So I feel bad that I don't have an exact, hey, this is what we're going to do. But the owner is hoping to be able to replace the entire roof with asphalt shingles because he doesn't want to patch. And I don't blame him. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any members of the public that wish to comment on this action item? Not seeing any board members with questions or comments. Mr. Burns.
Out of curiosity, how old is the existing built-up roof?
I don't know that answer, but I know the previous owner was pretty old and I don't think they'd done anything in a long, long time. So
Okay, so it's
the house needs some work.
TLC. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is from 2012.
Other comments or questions? Mr. Plumpy.
I have no comments. I'm ready to make a motion.
Oh, all right. Just let me make sure there's no other comments before. Any other comments or discussion from the board? Mr. Kalinsky.
Is there an instance where we have approved a shingle roof in lieu of a built-up roof in the Holland Hills Historic District?
There are shingle roofs in the historic overlay district. I can't recall of a specific switch from a built-up roof to a shingle roof coming before the ARB.
Okay.
I don't, but that's a question.
Yeah.
But it's not an uncommon roof material.
It is not an uncommon roof material. The Holland Hills Design Review folks debated this for many years, and eventually, because of the significant cost differential between a shingle roof and the availability of running the underlayment all the way up to the ridge so the low slope doesn't create wicking, made it more practical to use. But they do ask that when you do just simple 3-tab, not architectural grade, so it's not articulated. So the whole idea is meant to emulate a smooth planar surface as much as possible.
And that appears to be what?
That appears to be what they're proposing.
Okay.
I had a question, if you don't mind to ask.
Sure.
Should we specify the color of the asphalt roof to match the built-up?
Their proposal is
Yeah, it's in there.
white gray.
Okay.
Shasta white.
Okay, I apologize. I was more focused
Yeah,
on
but you're right, the terracotta one.
I do.
This is it.
Okay, there you go. $40.
Jason, do you think that any approval we have to do, since we're not sure, based on what Ms. Bostic has presented, what the insurance company is going to do we have to modify our approval to say that, assuming we're approving, that either we would approve an asphalt roof or we would approve patchwork to the storm damaged areas with the same roofing material that is currently there? I think that's probably the type of motion we would have to do.
Yeah, I would suggest modifying the motion to.
That's what I put. Okay.
Good, Joe?
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, Mr. Plumpy, do you have a motion?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I move that ARB approve action item ARB 2025 MB 00047 located at 7301 Stafford Road, Alexandria, tax map 0933040040 in the Holland Hills Historical District for the proposed storm damage repairs estimated and presented at the September 11th, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 MV 00047 as approved by the ARB on September 11th, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal was found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts, with the exception of that the applicant will pursue insurance coverage language prepared by the ARB or by the ARB/county for replacement in kind. Is that what you were trying to say about the insurance company or what?
We might work on that language a little bit, but let me get a second first. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Burns will second.
Friendly amendment.
Well, does anyone have a friendly amendment or I could make one, I guess.
Yeah, okay, let me give it a shot here.
Sure.
I would, subject to the following modifications, that the repaired roof should be uniform across its entire surface, and that I would think ideally it should match the historic roof material, which is a build-up roof. And if not, we would approve a flat 3-tab asphalt shingle as proposed as an alternative.
All right, is that acceptable to the
Yes, it
mover?
is.
And is it acceptable to the seconder as the seconder? Obviously. All right, so there's a motion. All those in favor of that motion? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Johnson, was that okay? We got it. Okay. That motion's approved. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right, that'll bring us to our second action item, which is ARB 2025 MV 00049, 2208 Glasgow Road alterations, proposing modifications to the previously approved design. Ms. Kelly represents the application. Good evening, Ms. Kelly.
Yes, good evening. I'm here to ask for approval for a few modifications to the previously approved project. We're asking for brick veneer on the foundation, as well as a small flat roof front portico, and we're reorienting the stair to the deck. And I'll take you through a few photos of the project to just familiarize yourself with the brick again. We have the new sunroom addition coming off the front. In the next slide, please. The new sunroom will be here, and it's also, we're phasing the project. We had approval for a larger project, and we've broken it into 2 phases. So the sunroom will be the first one. And originally on the foundation for the sunroom, I had this arched foundation wall, and we're changing that to brick to match the rest of the foundation of the existing house. The next slide, please. Next one. And the next one. We'll be matching this brick on the new foundation of the sunroom. Next slide, please. The next one. And you can go to the drawing. This is the approved project, just so you can reference between approved and what the changes are. This is the deck and the stair going straight down. I've modified that for the stair to go down to the side. And then we're doing the back rear addition as a separate phase. And then the new front portico will be right here at the front door. And the next slide, please. And then this is the basement, the lower level. There's no changes to the basement plan. The next slide, please. This is what was previously approved, showing the arched foundation. This will now be going to brick. And the rear deck stair will be going down to the side. And then we'll be adding the flat portico right here. On the next slide, please. Again, this is previously approved, showing the arched foundation. And the next slide, please. And this is what we're proposing, is to do the front addition, the deck, and a stair going down to the side, and the new flat roof portico right here. The next slide, please. There's no changes to the lower level basement plan. And there's no changes to the roof plan on the next slide. And then we'll be adding brick here to the foundation. The stair goes down to the side. And then the little flat roof front portico, which will have to be supported by a post, because there's no way to cantilever it or attach it to the house without some sort of support post. And the next slide, please. And again, showing the brick foundation and the reorientation of the stair. And that covers everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Any members of the public wish to comment on this one? All right, members of the board, questions and comments? Yes, Ms. Hammond.
In the package, I don't think you have a photograph just looking straight on at that door where the portico is going to go.
I don't know that I do.
And you don't have an elevation drawing of that either, I don't think. I just see it in plan in the 8.
I don't have a picture from standing down here, but
Yeah, I think that would have been helpful. And maybe even a drawing, especially if there's a freestanding post. I find it sort of fussy. I don't love it, but I'll defer to my board members.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Burns and then Mr. Kalinsky.
At what level does the flat roof portion of the portico attach? Is it at the bottom edge of the overhang of the existing roof? And what type of roof material is it? And will it have does the gutter then come out?
These are good questions. I envisioned it attaching at the level of the gutter just because it's such an odd corner that it would carry this line. And I don't want to have a downspout down, and maybe it just might be good to take that off the application right now. I don't think it's resolved that well. And it's just a very odd corner. We've been trying to solve how to get some sort of cover in there. And I really don't want to have a downspout coming down the side of it.
I mean, what are the dimensions on the, what is it in plan?
It's just a little 3-foot by 3-foot cover because of the two gutters, the way that they come together at that entrance, it's usually the waters can sometimes be pouring over that corner of the gutters, just where the front door is. So it's a little 3-foot by 3-foot flat roof so that you can stand there and the water would be diverted.
Okay. Have you considered a wider gutter that would carry the water more effectively? I understand the problem because you've got two slopes come together
Right.
in an inside corner.
I think just the velocity of the water, I don't know that a wider gutter would solve that problem at the corner.
But that amount of water then will come down, hit a flat surface,
Yes,
and it still has to go somewhere.
right. It could just pour over the side, but no, it's a little.
Okay.
I'm having trouble envisioning
Right.
this design. I don't think there's,
I don't mind taking that out of the proposal right now.
Christine-
If I can do that with an amendment.
Christine, is sheet A3 on this? Because on 2A3 on my packet, I have the south elevation which shows it. Can you zoom in right there? Is that,
It's right here, but it's very faint.
but it appears the top of
Right.
it appears the top of the portico is aligned with the top of the gutter board,
It is, yes.
which would allow you to carry a gutter all the way around if you wanted to,
It
or
would, but it's turning corners, so it's, right. I think it would solve it as well as it could.
but you could run a gutter, turn, and a downspout on the far sides, and it would still function. So I can see what you're doing here, and I have no objection to it. May not be as clear for everybody else, but I'm, using my architect mind. Training to see it.
Other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Ms.
So
Orr.
if we approve it as is, then if you need to make an adjustment or something, you're going to have to come back to it.
I know, but I don't mind. I think it probably should be a little bit more thought out because it is the main entrance and it's been such a difficult issue from the beginning of figuring out what to do there. So I don't mind taking it off and coming back just for that.
Okay.
All right. If there are no other questions or comments, maybe a motion, I think, consistent with what Ms. Kelly has represented, if there's someone who wants to conclude. Mr. Kalinsky.
Happy to try to craft a motion here. Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 2025MB00049 located at 2208 Glasgow Road, Alexandria, tax map 0933040501 in the Holland Hills HOD for the proposed alterations as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025, subject to the following modifications: that the front door portico is removed from this application. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025-MV00049 as approved by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials, this proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Burns, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you.
That brings us to our third item for action, which is ARB 2025 MB00045 7302 Ripon Road Terrace Steps. The applicant is proposing to add a terrace staircase connecting the upper patio to the main level of the home. And Sarah Couchman represents the application. Ms. Couchman, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Just by way of introduction, this is the front view of the home, 7302 Ripon Road. It's near the pool and the tennis courts, just up the hill from that. Next slide. Again, introductory slide showing the location. Next slide, please. This is the existing plat, but on the next slide, next slide, you'll see there has actually, since that plat was constructed, there has been an addition put on this previous existing patio has been enclosed, and this existing patio has been reconstructed. So that is the sort of, they just passed final inspection the other week. And so the red portion is new. The green area is where this project is taking place. Next slide. So these are the current conditions. You can see the retaining wall that was reconstructed to accommodate the patio on the patio on the upper level. Currently, you can see by the contour lines, the ground just sort of slopes in this direction. Let's see, this number 2 is, you can see, is sort of looking up at the patio. And this is the now enclosed portion that was shown in red on the plat. And then the third picture is a view standing on top of the patio looking down. So this is where I'm proposing the steps and terrace planters. Next slide, please. So these two sections show basically if you're in the house, this is really the only place you would see this view. If you're in the house looking in this direction, the first section is cut through the steps, so looking at the planter boxes, and then if you're along this side of the house, you will see the lower planter and the railing going down the steps. Next slide, please. And then this is the elevation from the other direction, what the neighbor at 7304 would be looking at. Next slide, yep. The photo in the upper left-hand corner is just sort of our inspiration picture when I was trying to convey the idea to the client. It's concrete steps and composite material, but to look like cedar planters. And their plan is to use it as a vegetable garden, herb garden, that type of thing. Next slide, please. So this is just a materials board. These steps are cantilevered somewhat so that we can put tape lighting underneath so that it has the glow from underneath, like the picture in the upper left-hand corner. And then the just for durability and longevity, instead of using actual and cost, instead of using actual cedar to veneer the planters, we would be using a composite product that looks like the picture in the lower left. And then there's also, there will be a number of plantings going along the property line and across the front. They are, for the most part, native plants. They would like to have a little bit of screening from the neighbor. We are actually working, the neighbor is also a client of mine, so we will be integrating the two planting schemes across the front property line. But both parties were interested in having some screening from the patio along the property line. That's it. Oh, yes, and this is, we have gone before the DRC at Holland Hills, and they have approved the project.
Thank you, Ms. Kemp. Any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Not seeing any, I turn it over to the board members for any comments or questions.
All eyes are on you, Joe. Sure.
Mr. Plumpy.
I'm the landscape architect.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Good to see you, fellow landscape architect. For a change, instead of all these architects. So, I think the design is fine, great. Excuse me. There's handrail on one side, correct?
Yes.
Of the stair. And is there any need for, on the upper patio to have a handrail because there's a grade drop off?
Yes, and actually, since I was there last to take the photos, there has been a railing installed across, like coming out this direction.
Okay.
And they currently have a gate. And then once we construct this, we will take the gate off. So that
What's the material of the handrail? Is it metal, wire?
it's black
cable?
aluminum rod. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my only really question, and I know it's going to be challenging maybe to carry a wheelbarrow for vegetables or soil. Is that any issue with the client? You know?
They are still very young and able-bodied. It may not be a vegetable garden in a few years. It may just be shrubs.
They're ambitious today. Tomorrow is another story.
Right.
The reason why I say this is in parks we use what's called a bicycle runnel. It's basically just you take right beside the wall. You have like a runnel, a flat ramp system without a handle, so you can. For one wheel, it's only 6 inches wide, 4 inches wide.
Right.
You could possibly use that. You just got to be, push it up the hill, but at least you got an opportunity. Something to think about, but not necessary.
I will.
Give you a piece of advice. That's all.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you. Good, nice job. I think it's going to be a nice design for you.
Thank you, Mr. Plumpy. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Burns?
Yeah, this strikes me as a whole lot of hardscape coming down the hill. How does it integrate with the existing steps that come up from the driveway? And what are the material differences between the two, and how will they visually integrate with one another?
So let's see. Yes. I don't have a great view of it. My apologies. So this is so this is the walkway. The front door is right about here. And currently there's concrete here, and then the steps are brick going down to the street. I will probably appear before you folks again. Yes, here you go. Because that is a later, that will be another phase later on. They would like to replace the railing here with one, the same that we're using up on the terraces, and they would like to reconfigure the steps as well. So that will be something that there will be an inconsistency right now.
Sorry, the Zillow photos have
Oh, yes. Thank you.
similar images.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is to approve something that is part of a longer-term plan, but we don't know how or when that might take place. I just want to figure out,
Right.
if you build this part, it stops at that point, what are we going to be looking at? I'm just trying to understand that. So you've got brick up to the house.
Right.
You have an existing concrete walk across the front left of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all your new exec and concrete going up.
Well, it does become concrete, right? It becomes concrete up against the house, right?
The existing patio up at the top is concrete.
Well, yes, the existing patio up top is concrete, but yes, there is a, I'm trying to remember though, at the front door.
There is concrete.
It's concrete, yeah, I thought so. Yes, so we do already, yes, there's a lot of different things going on, I agree. But this walkway that goes across the front of the house is already concrete. So we are sort of blending into that. And then yes, you are right that what happens to the steps is to be determined, but it is a bit of a division right now where this front and side is predominantly brick. From the front door over, it is concrete. Yeah, the planting, once the plantings are in, they have some shrubs that will be coming out because they are invasive, and so we're going to be replacing them with native species. But the goal is to have a bit of a screen so that really it will only be when you're coming, I guess, along the road from this direction that you would see both elements. I suppose we could go ahead and plan, and I could present to you what the steps will look like. I have no guarantee when that will happen.
The reason for my questions is I was surprised walking along the street how prominent the new work is compared to the existing house. I was kind of startled. It appears very much in your face.
Uh-huh.
And obviously this is new work where none of the softening work that foliage and plantings might provide are there. But that's a large terrace up there.
Mm-hmm.
And you look up at it, and now you're going to soften the front edge of that some by these steps and all. But like I said, this is a lot of hardscape. And I'm concerned that it becomes a very dominant feature of the property. And I just want to make sure as it comes down the hill that we don't lose track of the fact that what's historic here is the house, not the new work. I'm not sure I'm explaining myself adequately, but this is one that unfortunately I think it would be worth everybody taking a look at to try and see it. But then maybe the Zillow images.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, I think you should, it'd be helpful, the photos, I think, could be better, or we draw a visit to understand, the grade change, right, as you turn the corner. I know I hate to be showing this, but, yeah, I'm, as much as I appreciate thoughtful plantings, I always am hesitant because the homeowner could decide not to maintain them, or the next homeowner could pull them all up, and then we're left with the hardscape perpetuity. So I'm always nervous about that, as much as I appreciate the nice plantings. It's just we have no way of saying, you didn't water your grass, make those bushes come back to soften this hardscape or whatnot, so.
Mr. Poppy.
Sure, I guess some of the comments, I still like the railing and everything. But I do, Gabriel, Ms. Hammock said, and very well, said, if this is a vegetable garden, it's the first thing you'll see from the street. And if it's, in the wintertime, it's not very pleasant, some of the vegetable gardens that you see at the neighborhood areas and so forth. So I kind of maybe want to rethink about the vegetable garden, or if there's a planting, and let's say if there's a very thin evergreen that is shielding that in each planter, like a skyrocket holly with pruned tight. So it's just like a green wall, and behind it is all your vegetables and so appeal. I think FF&E furniture and so forth and pots on the hardscape can minimize the look. My thing, looking at the street view as well as your one photograph, the front of the house has two walls, a big retaining wall that kind of comes off the wall to the right of the flag there. And then there's is that walls underneath the large window or a planter underneath the large window?
It just slopes down.
No, right there. There's a.
So, yes, so there's
What are those?
this wall, right? This is a retaining wall right here.
Which is brick, right?
Right. And then they have a lower wall around the parking
Yeah,
area.
and then how about underneath the large window?
Oh, those are where they have their vegetable planters right now.
Okay, so so they can watch their tomatoes grow from inside, which is good. I guess I kind of understand Mr. Burns' comment is that, okay, we have this brick wall, and right across of it is concrete and AZAC type finishes on the material. There'll be a lot of stuff going on there. And would the applicant be willing to, clean that area up? Because are those planters going to stay there in front of the windows that have their vegetables in right now?
No, I think the goal is to move the garden to
To the side.
the side, yes.
But then also that retaining wall that comes off the house, since it's, it's a prominent element of the front entrance, right? You kind of see about the door and so forth. And I'm just wondering if that could be either cladded with this new material, so at least you got some continuity that's up against the house.
Mm-hmm.
And if the applicant, I guess, yes, we can approve something for an overall master plan for all the walls, for all the steps in front, but that may never, ever get built, or we have to just live with the disconnect of brick and the AZAC clad material in the back. So, because you'll be able to see it, because that shrub off to the left is really not your line of sight, right? You kind of walk by it and you can see everything, right? Mr. Burns, because you live there?
Yeah.
As you come from.
Well, right.
Yeah.
If you were at the end of the driveway, instead
On
of
the right-hand
20 feet
side.
to the left of
Yeah,
the
yeah, gotcha.
driveway, you would see what I'm talking
Yeah.
about more clearly.
It'd be interesting if there was a photograph that showed that view, because I think it'd be pretty appealing what you're just saying, like, oh my God, it is a lot of stuff out there, and it may overtake the house.
I wouldn't say it would overtake the house. It would begin to compete.
Compete, I'm sorry.
The slide that has the photos with the numbers.
Is that up or down? That's
Yeah.
Is the sidewalk leading to the house now concrete from the parked cars, or is that brick?
It's concrete.
So why don't you step out of your car
You
and
can see it in this picture.
All right.
You can see this gets pretty thin.
Yeah.
So the concrete extends until the top of the stairs. The previous owner redid the steps in brick. And the current owner does not like the brick steps, and so that is, again, it's part of the long-term plan.
Could you look at something that would help screen this new area from the roadway a little bit? Right now it's wide open lawn to concrete patio eventually, right?
So.
Or your planters
Going to
are,
the bottom picture.
like you have the stepstone.
So right now, all of this, the new plantings will essentially cover the same area that the existing do now. So it wraps around to the front of the house.
Yeah, it's still pretty wide open. I'm looking on your landscape plan, but I'm just wondering if maybe to ease the view from the roadway of some additional plantings from what you have now would help out your concern, Mr. Burns, perhaps. Because right now it's like wide open. Yes, the planting will be small. You'll see it for, 5 to 7 years and may eventually start to go. I think you get to develop the landscape plan a little bit more in the front. And
Well, I know that they definitely would like to have a pretty substantial screen because they are across from the pickleball courts, which have been a bit of an issue. And so I don't think that they would have a problem with beefing up the screening in that area. And as I said, the neighbor is also very interested in integrating plantings. Both parties want to, in fact, sort of return a bit more to the idea of the naturalistic landscape that is fundamental to Holland Hills. So, so they are in favor of reducing their lawn space and.
Because right now the shrubs that you planted, proposed plantings between 3 and 5 feet, they'll mature out. Let's say around 5 feet, like the inkberry and so forth. That, I'm 6 foot, I can look over that hedge even as I walk by the hedge, as opposed to when Mr. Burns said I'm looking at the driveway. So may want to really consider, gosh, is there some kind of verticality happens? Is there a tree, flowering tree, something to help break up the vastness of there? Unless they want to have a badminton court to compete with it, with the other.
Well, so if you look at the slope, it does, that all of these plantings actually sit up quite a ways from the road.
Higher.
Yeah, could we go back to go back to the first slide that shows the house head on? Yes, so there's actually about, about 4 feet in elevation right there.
That helps.
So, yeah.
I'm going to recognize myself, which I don't do that often. But I feel like we're getting a little workshop-y, and so I don't know if we're I'm not making like a pronouncement, I'm submitting it to the board that that's what I'm feeling. So it may be a situation where we want to defer unless somebody feels like they can make a motion to approve, and we can do that, but that's just kind of what I was sensing, unless there's some strong disagreement.
Can I just tell you real quick something?
Yeah.
What's the timeline that they'd like to do this, like next week, or can they wait another month and a half, 2 months? That's what it's going to take if we do it first.
They have finished the interior portion. They're ready whenever. It does not have to happen immediately, but we are going through the steps. So we're checking things off the list.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a deferral motion if I'm allowed to.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I move that ARB defer action item ARB 2025 MV 00045 located at 7302 Ribbon Road, Alexandria, tax map 0934050061, the Holland Hills HOD, for proposed alterations as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025 meeting. The motion to defer is because of additional considerations to material choices of both hardscape and landscape, and present additional views that would give more clarity to the views from the street.
All right, is there a second? Ms. Hammack? All those in favor of the motion to defer? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so we are going to defer. That doesn't mean it's denied. It just means I think some of those, issues that we just want some more information on, just put it back on the agenda. You can put it back on for next month with that information, and certainly Jason could answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Daniel.
I'd ask that staff keep an eye out for the hand raise icon. I had a comment on this item, but I don't think they saw me.
I will try to make sure on the rest of the items that before we move on something, I ask if you have a comment.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. The original item number 4 has been removed from the original agenda, so that brings us to ARB 2025 MV 000439518 Workhouse Way Public Art Installation. The applicant is proposing to install public sculpture entitled Respect, Mutual Understanding, and Mr. Keith Gordon represents the application. Mr. Gordon, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. So the circumstances surrounding this submission are that a couple of years ago, an artist was commissioned to take one of their pieces. It was donated to Supervisor Alcorn's office. It's been outside of his office on full display in Reston for several years. Supervisor Alcorn is now prepared to put a new art installation in that same space. And for several months has been considering where this art installation should go to. And the workhouse was contacted several months ago, and we've been working through all of the potential locations and challenges and opportunities and trying to get all of our ducks in a row, so to speak. The piece is really about, it was done to bring people together and as a sign of friendship and understanding. And at this point, the supervisor's office is not only going to donate it, would like to donate to the workhouse, but would also like to incur and cover the cost of relocation. And that includes not only removal from its current location, removal of the cement pads that it currently sits on, and then in addition, we have the transportation, the reinstallation of cement pads, and then the landscaping that would go around it to repair the area that would be damaged by the installation itself. I have a couple of different photos, not only of the piece itself, but also of the proposed location. After several locations on the property were evaluated, there was one in particular that I felt very strongly about, and I think a lot of folks internally also felt very strongly about. I apologize if it's hard to see, but hopefully you're all familiar with the area. This location here faces west, and it is seen primarily from both north and southbound traffic up Ox Road on 123. Currently in this location, there are billboards. There's graffiti artists had done about 3 or 4 billboards. One of them is already in disrepair and has been removed. 3 of them still remain. The plan was eventually to remove them anyway. And we feel this would be a really nice site given the size of the piece and given the amount of traffic that comes in the workhouse through this primary entrance. The other thing that's very nice, in our opinion, is that it does not actually affect the interior campus of the workhouse. So this piece here would be seen from the road. Approximately 76,000 people travel up and down 123. So to be able to reinforce that it is an active arts center, instead of answering the question that I get quite often, which is, what is that? I wasn't even sure that you guys were open. With Bunny Man, that's obviously helped, and we're grateful for that. It helps to have people outside mingling and having food and beverages. But I think this would be a nice piece, nice addition. It would also be a conversation starter and something that would put public art on the map in Lorton at the workhouse and really be a point of pride for the community. I think the submission ideally speaks for itself, but if there's any questions, I would really make myself available.
1 second. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this action item? All right, not seeing any, I'll turn it over to the board. Mr. Plumbee.
Sure, as you know, I'm a board member on this committee, but on the workhouse as well, but we did look at this. I can either vote or not, it's up to you guys, but I did have a question for Keith. Has it been decided to light this at all at night?
I'm sorry?
Will it be lit in some aesthetically pleasing way?
Yes, if you scroll through, there's a photograph at night. There's actually 2 portable solar lights that sit at the base of the statue.
Existing?
Existing. And these were sent in an updated submission. They might be earlier in.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing a night shot.
So
It's just, is it 5, these 5.
And why is it, well, he's looking at, maybe an easier question is the approximate size, height of these, please?
The size and height is actually on the first slide. And it is 9 feet by 32 feet by 10 feet. And, in my quest to use the system, what is the name of the system? Plus, we had a very interesting relationship. So in my quest to resubmit the Plus system, I was given the opportunity to submit via email because I could not figure out how to update the photos. So I resubmitted the updated document with the photos at night from Supervisor Alcorn's office. I do have them here on the updated presentation, and I'm happy to provide this to you if you'd like. as a photograph to circulate, but, I don't want to presume that that's the acceptable format of sharing this information. Did you want to see this?
No, that's okay. I was going to say is that the sculptures will also be set up high off of 123, correct? The grading will have a,
Yes.
you should,
Why don't you?
sorry.
Let me do this.
Just put them right on the front there, the span of them, that'd be good. It's perfect.
So there are two solar lights at the base of the statue that come up at an angle, and they illuminate the metal intertwined structures at about a 45-degree angle. They're independent. They're, in this case, they were mounted to the cement pads, but they are removable and rechargeable.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, Ms. Hannon.
How long was the sculpture installed at the supervisor's? Like how long was, I guess my question is maintenance. Like it looks like it's aluminum. I'm not sure.
Stainless steel.
Okay, so not a lot of maintenance. It sounds like you've been really thorough, and I'm so grateful that my supervisor, I'm saying his name wrong, is willing to cover the costs. And I'm totally supportive of the proposal. I'm just thinking about who, moving forward, just make sure they're maintained.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Burns.
There's going to be vehicles on three sides of this. How will it be protected from inadvertent vehicle impact?
The current the current space that we're looking at is actually set back from the road in some cases by as much as about 10 to 15 feet. So
Which if you're doing 55 miles an hour coming up there, is
55 is it's pretty kind to most of our drivers.
I like white knuckled it down there yesterday.
all I'm saying is finding a mechanism to protect this from inadvertent vehicular impact. How is that going to be accomplished? I mean, a berm, a trench. The last thing I want is a whole bunch of bollards around the thing. But what consideration have you given to protecting?
The most likely scenario that we would find is something coming from either northbound Ox 123, and this location actually sits just on the north side of this house. This structure here is not occupied. It's actually closed down permanently, so it does provide some cover here. If somebody's coming through the parking lot either way, I mean, certainly there could be an episode where someone loses control and hits the vehicle. I would say we hadn't really considered that as a as a consideration, but if it were something that this committee felt were important, I'd have to go back and look at what that would cost to accomplish.
I think if you're worried about 123 the most, I'd ask VDOT if they can put a guardrail to a certain extent there along the shoulder of 123 to protect you. And that would be most inexpensive and maybe least intrusive to do that, as opposed to moving bollards around it and so forth. And look, if someone hits it, they could hit anything out there, so it sounds like you're gonna have it flush with grade as opposed to raise up on a plinth at 4 feet of concrete, so it's gonna hit the concrete and be like that. I think exactly what you got it shown, I feel pretty confident.
But you do have to cross vehicular paths to get to it.
It's more of a drive-by kind of visual art to experience as you drive in, as opposed to sitting around and have a.
You don't expect many people to walk up to look at it? Or?
I think it's going to be a little bit more passive enjoyment.
Environmental art.
Correct.
Environmental art.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it in its current location, but it looks as though it's in a very pedestrian-friendly spot.
It's like a corporate lawn, but I don't think people hang out there and have lunch. I think it's more
I think
visual.
the consumption that most people will have is driving past it, either to park at the workhouse or coming up 123. I think the better view is actually going south on the other side of the median, because you'll have an unobstructed view of this area. The building and the trees that are in the front block a lot of it from the northbound direction going up 123.
Mr. Daniel, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I don't have any objection to the location, and I worry that we're getting too down in the weeds of designing additional aspects of the project. I don't think there's a requirement for there to be a bollard protection mechanism for a piece of statuary that could be installed. I mean, we can't predict all futures here. So that's my only comment.
Okay. Ms. Huang.
Just want to add one more comment. Kudos to Supervisor Alcon, because I do think this sculpture is better at the proposed location than the current location.
Okay. If there are no more comments, I would entertain a motion.
Sure.
Mr. Plumpy.
Get off the steps and go on to the courthouse. Mr. Chairman, I approve that the ARB approve action item ARB 2025 MV 00043 located at 9518 Workhouse Way, Lorton, tax map 1064010058 in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible district for the proposed installation of a public sculpture as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 MV 00043 as approved by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials proposed, upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet requirements of the memorandum of agreement of the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
All right, is there a second? Ms. Mangum. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
And I echo my board members with kudos to Supervisor Alcorn.
Yeah, Supervisor.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Keith, when do you expect it to be installed, do you think?
Yeah, if I ask the supervisor's office as soon as possible,
Okay, do you think by the end of the year?
that's the hope.
Okay.
Our partners over at the county as well want to make sure that everything being removed is done in a respectable way as well.
Just FYI, it'd be great, maybe a meeting for the ARB to be presented at the Lorton Workhouse to see that and anything else that's been updated. Maybe meeting next year or still yet this year, depending on what you do.
I think the plan would be when we put this in, when there's an installation, it's a ribbon cutting, it's a nice little pride for the county and also for different bodies working
See
together.
if we get the invite for sure.
Absolutely good.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Great job. For sure.
All right, that brings us to our next action item, which is ARB 2025 DR 00466341 Georgetown Pike special permit. Applicant is requesting a recommendation for the approval for a special permit. Mark, fees. I was 50-50. All right, Mr. Fees represents the application. Mr. Fees, the floor is yours.
So, excuse me, I represent Jane DeLange, the owner of the property. We're seeking special use permit for an accessory living unit that will be used by her adult son. The structure is existing. It's attached to the home. It was originally a 3-car garage with a studio above. When we were asked to remodel the space, basically what we language as a pull and replace, it was only related to the interior. There's no exterior changes at all. But through our permitting process to remodel the space, we discovered that it was not, the building permit was properly pulled in 2001 for the original structure, but it did not have a kitchen as part of that permit process, and it has a kitchen when we remodeled it. So we submitted the proper application to make sure that it was updated as an accessory living unit. During the course of that permitting process, we submitted a special use permit plat, and that plat identified that there's an existing 6-foot fence on the property, and by right, I guess it has to be no more than 4 feet. So we added that to the application process as well. So as far as the accessory living unit is concerned, no exterior changes, none at all. As far as the property, it does have, the bottom border is a split rail fence. It's only 4 feet. The left side property, which is basically the west side property, is a black, this portion from here to here is a black chain link fence that measures 6 feet. And then the rest of it is a wood privacy fence that is also, the posts are just about 4 feet, but it has arched tops at each section that extend to 6 feet. So that fence had been installed years prior. The husband that completed the fencing and the accessory living unit passed about 3 years ago. So we don't have any records on how long the fence has been there, but it was, according to the wife, it was just after the park was added to the backside of their property to keep kids from coming onto the property.
Okay. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Not seeing any. Just before comment, I would just remind our board members that this is to us on a special permit. While we normally wouldn't review interior modifications where there's no exterior being changed, and we normally don't review fences, this is coming to us for a recommendation because a special permit was triggered. So just keep that in mind. Any comments or questions, I will certainly entertain. Mr. Colby.
Sure, so just to confirm, the 6-foot fence is going to stay, right? You're just looking for approval of something that's been done?
Correct.
Slap on the
No
wrist,
changes,
that's it, no big
no
deal.
cosmetic changes,
Okay.
nothing else.
So,
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Daniel, any questions or comments?
None from me.
All right, if there aren't any, I would entertain a motion. Mr. Kalinsky.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB recommend for approval item ARB 2025-DR00046 located at 6341 Georgetown Pike McLean, tax map 0223010065A in the Langley Park Historic Overlay District for the special permit application to convert an existing structure to an accessory living unit and an existing 6-foot wood perimeter fence as submitted and presented to September 11, 2025 ARB meeting. Applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025-DR00046 as recommended for approval by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
Thank you, Mr. Kalinsky. Is there a second? Ms. Orr seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries, Mr. Feast. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to our last action item, which is ARB 2025 HM 0044-1608 Washington Plaza North alteration. The applicant is proposing to construct a deck and patio. And gentlemen, please introduce yourselves. Just for
Yes,
the
hello
record.
everybody and good evening. Sorry, I know we're last, but hopefully you guys have a little bit more energy for.
Oh, no, we have more.
Okay, sorry. But my name is Pamon Hajismailu, and these are my business partners and my brothers in arms. So we've been actually together for 15, 20 years. I've known him since I was 12, and way too many years. Ryan O'Connor, by the way.
Matt Fian, partner.
And we actually are the.
Anything to eat or drinks?
No, we're good. We're restaurateurs, so luckily enough, we're pretty well fed and pretty well.
Very well
fed. We actually are the owners of the property as well. We purchased the property in around 2020. So we wanted to now activate the space. We have another location in Tyson's that kind of took a lot of our time and energy in the years. And now, since, we need to activate the space, and it's underutilized and it's very vacant and it's not a good look for anybody. So our goal is to utilize same colors, not too many fixed fixtures, and just kind of lively to place up into a small little beer garden patio.
We're just talking about the bottom floor.
Correct.
Between the doors.
The first floor. If we go to the next slide, please. So these is what we're seeking approval for the logo and the signage that's located right in front of the actual property itself right now. Using the same material, same lighting structures, just adding our logo on top of it. Installation of the Trex decks on the front of the building. Our next door neighbor, just uniform, same thing that they have, keeping it all the same throughout the business. It's going to be utilized for another seating area for us. Removal of 3 bushes that are currently there. Installation of the planter boxes, and then the perimeter patio, which we will then include some more flowers and just different assortment of non-invasive, beautiful flowers. And all fixed fixtures over there. So the fence would be those planters that's movable. The tables would be whiskey barrels with wooden attachments on top. And for lighting, we would have the overhead string lights that you see in basically any bar setting or any sort of patio. If we could go to the next slide, please. This is what it currently looks like. It's very obscured, it's very dark. It has no liveliness at nighttime. When you walk over there, it's pretty a deterrent basically for everybody that goes to Lake Ann. So with what we want to envision, basically just light up the area. We would remove this bush, and this tree. And then add, actually no, this tree is staying.
Yeah.
There's another bush behind this right here. I don't know if you guys see that, but we'd be filling this area, this brick paver with the exact same bricks, with the exact same brick layout. So everything as far as exterior work is gonna just use the same materials, bring it back to it. And then even the colors of our tables would be used that Reston brown. That's for Lake Ann. If we go to the next slide, please. Oh, that's the sign. Yep, the sign would just be changed, like I said, using the same, I guess, frame for it, same lighting inside of it, just changing the logo on it. Next slide, please, sorry. And where that bush is right now, we want to do exactly what our neighbor has done at Lake Ann Coffee House, and that's just using the Trek decking, using the same color they use, so it's all gonna be uniform.
That's two of those three bushes he
Yeah.
was talking about.
Correct. Next slide, please. And as you can see, that's what we'd be removing. We'd again put the bricks in the same exact brick layout. And then at our other location, Hops and Shine, these are the exact same planters that we'd be using and using similar flowers and foliage like that. And as you can see, the string lighting above it as well. Those are the planters. These are the whiskey barrel tables that we would be making. Obviously, we'd buy brand new barrels, but we can construct those things ourselves. We make it look very nice. And the pattern that we'd be looking to use is the Bavarian checkered flag to go with the beer garden thing. And the stools would be that metal stock, I guess. Standard stock, yeah, exactly. And this is, I guess, a view of the seating arrangement that we would like.
So is that the actual plan of how your seating's going to go?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And that's your planner, so that's meeting all the occupancy regulations?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's, and also for fire egress.
Yep, we've actually just got approved.
And all ADA?
Yep, everything is all single level. Anybody can enter into the property or inside the building itself using ADA. There's already an ADA ramp built right here that we're not going to be modifying to the door. So this is all going to be basically a walkout. I think if you go to the first slide, you might be able to see it or the second slide. Oh, right, sorry, can you go one more, please? That's the first one.
Yeah.
Slide number 2, or 3. Right here. This is that walkway, it already has a handrail as well. Right here.
Chris also has a comment.
Okay. Are you guys good with your presentation?
If we could continue, I'm sorry, there's a few more slides.
Yeah.
Those are, I mean, that's the lighting and I guess that gives you the lumens and the total like foliage, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows.
Same string lighting used at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Next door.
I think there's one more slide.
So you own multiple beer gardens, but they all have different names?
Yes.
We're pretty creative.
Kind of like ready-to-make restaurants,
Yeah.
you know, Coastal Flats, and, you know, they all have the same basic kind of food, but just different names.
No, okay. And are you currently open in Lake Ann right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have you reached, I'm just curious, your neighbor relationship?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yes, and we've already gone through the DRB, their own review board, and they've approved this as well.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good.
Actually, we had the lady from Lake Ann help us with this presentation.
Our next door neighbor, Eve Thompson. She's
Yeah,
awesome.
Eve's amazing, like, she helped us out with this.
And this is, okay, so, and this is the, I guess the only penetration we're gonna be having for the concept would be to the exterior wall on the, right here. And it's gonna be behind the conditions that they are, so nobody will be able to see them from the side street walking anywhere. And as you can see, they'll just be located.
And yeah, everything's below that fence line.
Below the fence line. And that's about it, guys.
That's it.
Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Not seeing any. Mr. Daniel, I know you have a question, and then Mr. Plumpy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in general, I don't have an objection to obviously utilizing and revitalizing any place in Lake Ann because it's going to continue to bring energy to it. My concern is both the existing design guidelines and our proposed design guidelines highlight how important the landscaping is. And that's not just limited to the trees, but also bushes and shrubs. So I guess one thing is looking at that plan, I had a hard time understanding where that tree was in the plan that you're saying you're going to keep and why both these guidelines, infilling of spaces that were for landscape seems to be something that is not recommended. So
Next page.
if you could clarify on the plan where the tree is.
Yes, actually on this copy of it,
Next page right here.
it's going to be right there. The plans that we
Right,
submitted, but you're saying on the actual drawings, which is
30 to 45 in what we received. That's it all laid out.
this was, I think, the older version. In the plans that we submitted to the actual county, you would be able to find the trees still there. I don't know if I can pull that up and show you guys on my phone.
Yeah, actually, the submission package that we received is on slide number 30 of 45 that the board members received. It has the tree located.
I don't feel like I saw that on the plans that were put in our packet, but I could have missed. Okay, I do see it. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Plumpy, for that clarification. I do see it on there.
Yes, sir.
My biggest concern is about infilling the landscaping spot for the other bush. I understand that's a seating requirement, but that also is eliminating, the whole goal is to soften the brick facades with landscaping, both trees and bushes. So we've already had several other bits of landscaping go away in Lake Ann due to improvements, and some of those don't require building permits, so they obviously don't come to the ARB. So I'm thinking of other trees, particularly at the Lake Ann Coffee House that has a large structure now in its patio area, fire pit, basically. So, I mean, I think overall the design is sensitive because it's very temporary feeling, but that's my one concern is about the loss of that space because it kind of creates only a sea of brick again.
That's a great question. If you actually go to the slide that,
This is from your submission. I think
Correct,
this is
yes.
about what you're talking about.
yeah.
So,
That,
yes, there is the bushes that you're describing, but our goal is to actually increase the visual of the space by all of these planters will be filled with different assortments of non-invasive flowers, as you saw on our other slide that we use in our other location, that I think would be a lot more warmth and color and energy to that space than what's currently there, which is just a small little bush in front of like an empty facade right now.
basically for the 3 bushes we're gonna remove, we're gonna add 11 planters filled with flowers and, perennials and beautiful stuff that our neighbors also have.
I think my other thought in it is how are you going to infill that? Because that is a planting location at Lake Ann. So is it going to be infilled in a way that it could then be removed and someone could restore this back to a plant if they wanted to? I mean, the entire hardscape and landscape is part of the Lake Ann Historic District. It is all encompassing. It was designed to such a level that, I mean, the fact that you're showing it has a brick pattern to it, are we just tearing up all the bricks? Are we going to infill it in a way that someone could eventually come and remove it if we do take that strub out? And this, I think that would be my other concern, is something that would continue to bear mark of what was there.
2 of the 3 plants that we want to remove are right now just surrounded by mulch. There is no brick around it or anything like that. It's literally the window area, way before the brick even begins.
So to answer your,
Like to be identical to here.
I'm talking about the one that's surrounded with a brick circle. I completely understand the ones in front of your windows. It's that one right there in your center. That one actually has a constructed patio around it.
Yes, no, you're exactly correct. Yes, that one is the one we plan on keeping the circle around it as well, and just filling bricks around inside the circle. So in essence, you are correct.
It is reversible.
It is reversible.
All right, that's my only comment, at the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Mr. Plumpy.
okay, Mr. Daniel, I may be able to help you, but maybe the client will string me up here. But I would say that where that shrub, first of all, as a landscape architect, we like to call bushes shrubs. Okay. Bushes in Australia, so we're shrubs.
Sorry.
So in any event, I would say that instead of doing brick infill, would you be open-minded to put another honey locust tree, which is the other tree that's there now, to help give that architectural elegance that was once there? It's the same, it looks like it's very similar to the circumference of the planting area for the shade tree that's there right now. So having two shade trees, which may be a benefit for you because it'll provide more shade. It is facing south, east-south, so it's going to get sun. And put a sizable tree in there, enough to put in there. And I think you'll appreciate that more than just bricking it up. You can still, yes, it'll affect your seating plan a little bit. You may lose 2 or 3 patrons, but they'll be standing up anyway, because it's standing room only. But I think the other thing that's very nice is you do have additional planters, so I appreciate that. As long as it's tastefully planted, as you mentioned. But then also you have you don't have to show a picture of the planter that the light poles will be inside. Is that another whiskey barrel with a pole sticking out?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so it's Whiskey City, okay. So I would say, I would highly recommend to put another tree in the shrub location that you're planning to infill with brick. The other benefit to that, the existing tree now is tall, correct? So you can also put little pendant lights hanging from it. As a landscape architect, we do that all the time. So that gives another ambiance as opposed to just string lights only. I would propose you to put a tree in place of the brick infill. I think you'll appreciate it. Just adjust your seating.
I do appreciate that. My only concern is this right here.
That horizontal line?
Correct.
Where is it on the plan view?
If it's not.
It's not shown on the plan, but how's that?
It's right above it.
That's our property line. We can't.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
It's also right above it, like you can't really put a tree right in front of it.
Is that?
And then
Okay,
the other part.
Sorry.
The circle kind of touches the backside of this. And that's not, after that point, we can't touch that.
And then right here.
It's the
I
cluster.
gotcha.
This is, if you see, this is further back. Your idea is great, and actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna steal that for this tree with the pendant lights. That's a really good idea.
Okay.
But if you notice, this tree is further back, and this tree is like right at the property line. It's gonna hit the beam, so you can't put a tree there.
How tall is the beam? Can you walk underneath it?
Yeah,
Okay, got
that's
it.
about 10
Like
feet
this.
tall, almost.
Okay.
Maybe 8 or 9.
Well-
8 or 9 feet.
Okay, I just was thinking as a solution. I didn't realize the beam was in the way. It's tough.
Plus, as a restaurateur, every seat
You
matters.
want standing room, less seats, more crowded, I should go there. Well, I have no problem with infilling it as long as it's reversible, but if the tree cannot happen there because of the beam.
Well, definitely, we'll go do our research there. If we can find a tree that's has a super skinny,
Well,
trunk
with the honey locust,
or-
you can big enough tree so it would be actually
Won't
off to the
It
side.
won't work with the beam.
Well, more for the beam, he says. Okay.
But we will infill it where it's reversible. That 100% agree with you. We own the property as well, so we want to make it where long-term it's valuable.
Would you ever consider a fire pit there, reversible fire pit, put a fire pit there? It's kind of.
Then you have to deal with the fire marshal.
Like, that doesn't make
Yeah, it's
code.
20 feet, and you have to be.
You're the trust.
Sounds
It-
good.
it-
Yeah, but I know it. that's-
Electric fire pit.
We're very good at selling beer and brats. We're not bringing
White
it here
words,
for,
bratwurst, cheddar worst.
That's all I have. So-
Okay, any other?
Outside of your property then?
This is the property line, ma'am.
Property line is on top of that circle.
So this would be basically the property line, and that beam comes like this.
Okay, so the beam doesn't go directly in front of the tree would be.
It's basically, I'm scared that the trunk or anything like that
So,
is going.
wait a minute, hold on. So you said the beam goes where?
Around things of the columns.
So they're wrapped on the outside of
Put
this.
the tree in there, guys. It's not directly over the shrub. It's to the left, to the right of the shrub, correct?
So each of these are the brick columns.
That's
and
all the
wood
beam.
attached to the outside. And it's about 6 inches. They're pretty big.
Just saying.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I really like that kind of idea.
Anyone have a motion?
Great idea.
Not all at once.
Oh, wait.
All right, Mr. Plumey.
I want the free beer. Let's go. And I don't drink, so there you go. Iced tea is my speed. So.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Sorry about that. Mr. Chairman, I move that ARB approve action item ARB 2025 HM 00044 located at 1608 Washington Plaza Northwest in tax map 017206E0003 in the Lake and Village Center HOD for the proposed alterations as submitted and presented at the September 11, 2025 ARB meeting. The applicant must request an amendment from the ARB for any proposed changes to ARB 2025 HM 00044 as approved by the ARB on September 11, 2025. Upon review of the materials, the proposal was found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts. I would like to add that the applicant will ensure if the brick is put into the circle that is removable and that the perimeter brick is left intact for future renovations to bring back to what the historical brick was. Also to explore the opportunity of putting a deciduous tree to match the existing tree if it indeed clears the beam is to consider that strongly. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, do you have that? Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Huang. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Gentlemen, good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
You do
A
the
wonderful
same.
weekend.
That takes us out of our items for action and moves us into our items for workshop, of which we have one, which is ARB WK 2025-0021, 2007 Marthos Road addition. The project will require a special permit for setback reduction as well as building permit. Mr. Brusco represents the application. Mr. Brusco, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You guys gotta have snacks.
Thank you for having me at this design charrette under better circumstances than the last two times. And sorry for people having to come out in August. I'll spare you the quotes I was reading from Goodman about new architecture. I won't go into that. But some of you might have seen this back in 2022. I know Mr. Burns did. And we decided we didn't want to cut down the massive tree that fell in our house. And well, mainly there was 4 75 to 80-year-old Japanese maples that were some of the most beautiful ones in the whole neighborhood. They would turn green, red, yellow leaves. Everyone commented on how nice they are, but they're completely gone. And Mr. Burns called me a week after the tree fell and said, you know, none of those trees are there anymore, so you might as well propose your my inventor kind of workshop. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not directly quoting you, sir. But, so this was very schematic or even conceptual design, not really the schematic design. We did meet with an architect yesterday, so you might meet him if he's in town. A very talented young architect, and we met with a builder yesterday who I think my wife and I are more comfortable working with. But we're just dealing with the mold issue, but it looks like we might end up ripping a lot of the inside of the house out and making a lot of improvements because all of the TPO flat roofs have to be removed. They were all damaged. That's mostly where the molds are growing, like where the big limbs of trees fell. So this would be, this requires a special permit. If you could go forward to the first, the site plan. You can see the front yard setback. The reason it requires a special permit, very simply, is the house is at a very extreme angle with the front yard property line. If you could keep going, please, to the first drawing. There we go. The first one that had the red. That's fine. If you could, yeah, either one of those. If you could just zoom in on the actual structure, like the red area. So you can see that teal line that's going across. That's the 35-foot setback. But I've done all kinds of studies I designed this during COVID when I was stuck in my house, and my son was a baby then, so he was napping a lot, and I had a lot of time. And basically, you can see where that teal line is. There's not really any way to build anything. And the key part is this would be completely buried in the hill. So the zoning department actually had to look at it and said, does it even require a special permit? Because there's a loophole. If you build a pool and all 4 walls of the structure are underground, it can actually go right up to any of the property lines. So it does not fall into that case because the front garage door is exposed, but I designed it to not look like a garage door. It has that like kind of 1950s garage where the whole wall opens that, you know, crushed a lot of people, but now they have mechanisms to make those safe. Obviously with little kids, so there's all kinds of safety mechanisms. I've talked to architects I used to work with that built these out in California, in San Diego. So when it's closed, it'll look like just a vertical wood slat wall. You won't even be able to tell that there's a door there at all. If you go forward to the renderings, I want to just get through this quickly because the other part that's more pressing is what we're proposing. This is going to happen after we move back in because it requires a special permit, so there's a 6-month period. If you could just go forward to the renderings, that's kind of a cutout, a section there. So the last one, if you could go back to the rendering before all the photos, please. There you go. Yeah, so you can see a good view of it. So you see that bottom left, like it really doesn't look like a door. The intention was that it's a green roof there to replace the lawn, or what was there was covered with English ivy that took me years to eradicate. It was all over the house when we bought it, but that top right view, you can see it's not going to have a tree or anything like that on there. It's maybe just going to be grass, but one of the big intentions with this design intervention is to eliminate the stairs that went up to that original front door right here. So this was the front door when they built it in 1951, and then they built the addition, and that became the front door. So we have 7 doors in the house. And so people come up to that door, they knock on it while our kids are, you know, napping and stuff. So we just want to eliminate that and make it obvious that the actual front door is the front door. But if you could, I guess, play the video that I shared, that would probably be the most time efficient because it shows this and it shows the other part. There we go. So we're gonna work on, like, don't get caught up on the details of like the facade and stuff. I was having fun with that, with like parametric architectural modeling that I used to do in a former life. I used to develop a lot of the software for Autodesk, so I spent a whole weekend making this wavy wall, but we're gonna work with the architect and really go through this whole thing. And there's also an architect I used to work with in England that's gonna work with me on the garage part. Well, the other architect does a feasibility study on the second level. So the original owners we bought it from, they were the only owners. So they 100% intention, that they had the intention of putting a second level on here because there's a separate HVAC system and there's a basement. You can see that structure underneath with the long horizontal windows. It's just underneath the addition. And there's 2 10-inch HVAC pipes coming from that furnace that just go into a 100-foot square dining room. So it's totally excessive. It's very inefficient. You don't need them. They're both supply pipes. So they was 100% designed to have one of those pipes go up to another level. And all of those roofs are damaged. So that's the time-sensitive part because we have to replace all those roofs. They're 15-year-old PTO roofs. They have a 20-year lifespan. And basically, it doesn't make sense to replace all those. It's over $30,000. And then we already wanted to put another level on there because the design of the house is really weird. You have to walk all the way to the other end of the house to get upstairs. And so our bedroom is downstairs, like the master bedroom. And then you have to go all the way around to the other side of the house. So we want to add another stairway and actually an atrium, like some of the Holland Hills houses have, with a double height glass windows. You would mainly see from the backyard. So this part here, I don't know if we're going to do all this, but this is projected out. There's a window seat there right now. And then this cantilever is on top of that. And then if you could just like maybe go back in the video a little bit to show this part. That's probably the most, yeah, so if you could just kind of take it back a little bit. Sorry, that's the other side of the house. But basically there's 2 more boxes on there and they're just in the footprint of the existing 1-story structure. There's 2 spots where there's a typical 2-foot overhang on the other side of the fireplace. And so again, this is just to get feedback so that the architect, when he's doing his feasibility study over the next like few weeks, can hear your feedback from this meeting and use that. So I was literally up till 11 o'clock last night putting windows in there after work, and I took my best attempt at it, but I haven't worked in architecture for several years. So I'll just stop there so that, because I'm really here for your feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Members of the board with questions, comments, observations?
And there is a front elevation, like a street view drawing. No, it's not in here. There was another PDF. It's a separate one. There was 3 files.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Am I right that, just looking at Google Earth, it looks like there was some delayed maintenance with the previous owner? Like maybe the house wasn't in the best.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty much abandoned when we bought it.
Okay, that
That's
was
100%
delayed maintenance
correct.
was kind of a.
The father lived to be 104 and the mother was 99, so.
Ray Gardens vibe I was getting.
Yeah, so when they got into their 80s, they kind of stopped. Like there was this much gravel in the gutters when we bought the house that I had to get out of there. So we renovated, we restored the entire house. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a front elevation, but I kind of cut a section, so the above view is, showing that cut through the garage. It's not really accurate graphically, because again, I was doing this late last night, but it just shows how the grade goes up, and I think we'll probably build that up in front of the garage, at least with, in the renderings, it shows how, there could be different shrubs, is that correct?
Thank you.
But really, it's like, I mean, if you look at that left upper part, you can kind of see, and again, I don't know if we put windows like that, it's going to definitely be completely different when we come back next month. Maybe we'll do another workshop. We just wanted to get feedback.
All right. Mr. Daniel, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess at this moment, I think conceptually, obviously, we've seen a lot of different types of additions in Holland Hills. I would obviously encourage the applicant to look at some of the more recent ones that we've had go through the ARB if he hasn't already, just to get an idea, because I think my biggest concern is making sure we're not subsuming the original Holland Hills home in a way that detracts from it. And that's not saying I think that's happening now, but I think that's my biggest, if when you come back, you can try to emphasize how this is complementing or still maintaining, I know there's a lot of integrity challenges you're dealing with already because the house was damaged. So if there are places where the house maintains good integrity, where we're protecting that, and in other places where that may not be an issue given the fact of all the changes it's gone through. So that's just my general observations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention in that video in the back, it's very strange. There's like these steel windows that are not really in any other Holland Hills houses. So we've always intended to replicate that Goodman window wall around the back. And then if we did something like this, we could have that 2-story atrium. So it would actually bring more of the Holland Hills and the Charles Goodman architecture. Because the addition was designed by George Hartman of Hartman Cox when he was in his 20s, when he still lived in New York City. So the Hemmingdingers, the owners, hired him right out of architecture school. And it's very unique, and we want to replicate. So like in that part that's right over the addition, I replicated the windows up. And again, I don't know if it'll be like that exactly, but I plan to come back with like a full set of drawings and yeah, so, and then as far as the garage workshop design, that would require special permit, so I guess I kind of have to get feedback first, but we've already talked to the neighbors about it 3-4 years ago, and they all liked the design and they were on board with it.
When you come back, it would be helpful for me if I understood what of the original home is perceivable. What is the 1957 edition by Casper Neer, and what is the 1966 edition? If you could even just like color code a drawing or take a photograph and put an overlay in Photoshop, just so, because I'm not opposed to an addition, like the house has really evolved. But I just want to be able to understand like, all right, this is the original form, this is 1957, this is 1966. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be super fancy, like,
Okay,
you could highlight.
right,
line.
just, because I know where it is exactly,
Yeah,
but it's
I know
hard
you
for,
live-
I totally
I can tell
understand.
this is like another child and you're so passionate about it and know so much, so if you could do that for me.
Actually, I didn't know it was 66 because their son said all he knew was JFK was president when they built that addition. So if you see something about 66, that's very interesting.
The Holland Hills design guidelines on our website.
Okay.
I just Googled it and
Oh, wow.
I just searched the PDF by your address.
I literally, Hartman Cox, the current partners tried to go in their archives going way back before CAD drawings, and they couldn't find anything about him working on any house in
You've
Holland
gotten
Hills.
that from a permit that was pulled.
Yeah, so that's really good information to know, because I thought it was earlier 60s, but.
Maybe you could have designed it earlier and pulled the permit in that's another thing,
Yeah.
sometimes it happens, like the permit
So-
maybe pulled. Anyway, just,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is, I think the garage design is kind of clever, like you can't see it from the public right of way, correct? Or can you?
You could add like an angle.
Well,
But we plan on building up like that landscaping, and there's literally all kinds of weird stuff growing there right now. There's a.
Yeah, it is very
bush that's
overgrown.
A shrub this tall. Yeah.
Mr. Kalinsky.
Mr. Brusco, from a design perspective, what we're trying to do is preserve the historic materials and the historic design of the house, the building. And you have two distinct periods on this house, and both part of, I'm not mistaken, part of the fabric and part of the historic overlay district's approval. Now, there may be a third portion that Ms. Hammack just pointed out that there's.
It was a screened-in porch that they put those windows in, and that was the second addition.
Okay, so that being said, what you presented here on this, but, the materials that we got are showing the garage, the one that you proposed back in 2022. But also just now, with your flyby, you're showing a second-story addition above the addition. Okay, and it's up here on the screen right now, the upper image.
Right.
Just my point is you've got 3, if not 4 distinct periods here. 2 of them would be, if you did a second-story addition as well as a garage, you've got 2 newer additions. Then you have the original fabric, and then the addition to the original fabric. So when I see that, it's got to read as such, and anything that you do needs to be complementary or background to the original historic pieces. When I see right up there, that composition's not reading that way. So I think that's what your architect's going to have to focus on, is how to make the additions, the old addition, still be subservient to the original house, while at the same time, any new addition even more subservient to both of those. So it's a tall order.
The line conventions are coming, as they say in architecture school, the line convention. I heard that a lot, but I purposely sought out an architect who's experienced in Revit, because a lot of that is because there's all these phases and different material. It's very hard to control that in Revit. So I did the best I could, and I took 2 days off of work to.
Well, no, appreciate your efforts, but just realize that, the architect has to do a good job of designing. It doesn't matter if it's by hand in Revit or CAD or whatever drafting tool, but it's got to accomplish all of those things, that level, the layers and level of respect to the original pieces without covering up the original. And at this point, without covering up your George Hartman addition.
Right, no, that's a goal, but so much of the inside of the house is damaged that this is our only chance to really make it better. And Charles Goodman, sorry, but I'm gonna quote him, said, make it better, make it more livable, make it easier to sell later. And the house is a really weird design, and the ceilings are very low upstairs, but again, all of that has to be ripped out. And so while we're not living there, it's gonna be like a year to a year and a half process. we have this chance, and we'll never have it again, to completely reconfigure all that and make it so much better.
No problem with reconfiguring the whole interior. We don't have any.
Right, of course,
purview over
yeah.
that. But on the exterior, that original house, which was rather basic,
Yeah,
should still be celebrated.
right.
The addition, which is 50, 60 years old
Mhm.
and has its own historic merit, should be celebrated. Anything that you do in addition to that needs to honor that and be background to that. So
Well, I have a
it's gonna
question
be
about.
it's going to be a design challenge.
Okay, no, definitely 100%, but my question with that is, do you prefer, like, this addition here, I replicated the wood siding up here on those 3 boxes, do you prefer that, or do you prefer, from Historic Preservation Centers of Holland Hills, to have it contrast with that original wood siding, so you can tell that that's an addition, versus, you can't really, it's like Goodman said something about, he hated carbon copies of historical architecture.
Well, I think the answer to that is it depends. It depends how your addition integrates with the original fabric. And that will determine which method of be completely different or be as compatible as possible. But realizing that you have multiple types of materials here and forms, the more you introduce, the more chaotic it's going to be. And that, so going with the cues that you have, drawing from the cues that you have of the design may be a more appropriate way than trying to, say, put a glass box on it or put something completely different on it.
Yeah, and that's why we're involving a highly skilled architect or a couple of architects, and that have had awards. The British architect was a REBA award last year for like young architecture firms, but he's like 5 years older than me though. But so it's not something I'm going to try to take on myself. I'm here to like present it as the homeowner, but
I'm just trying
to try to tackle that challenge.
Trying to give you the feedback you're asking for, so guidance for your architect when he designs it.
Yeah.
To follow that kind of respect order.
Right. No, I really appreciate that.
The structure.
Yeah, and I understand with the garage part, like, I don't even know if my wife likes that wavy wall. Again, I was having a lot of fun with the mathematical parametric modeling of it. Each board is a different profile, so as you go on the wall, it's a wave. And obviously that might distract from the Goodman architecture, but you would really only see it from like a certain angle, because when you're looking straight on it, it would just look like slat wall. But when you're looking at like, you really have to be like at the side of it to see the profile.
There's room in our guidelines to do stuff like that. So I don't discourage that. But it's all going to be under
the workshop is I'm an inventor, I have patents, and I build CNC machines and homemade printers. And my plan originally, I don't know if I'll still do that, was to cut out each of those profiles with a computer-controlled CNC machine that I built. Well, it actually got kind of crushed in the basement, but I think it still works. So.
All right, I'm going to recognize Ms. Wong, and then I'm going to recognize myself. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I saw this project way back, and I have some question on the garage, and I still have some question on the garage. Let me talk about the second floor addition. The second floor addition, for the massing, I really don't have a problem to do that, but to the current window configuration, just doesn't feel it's on the front elevation. So I would encourage you to take a closer look at it. As of the garage, I understand that per your current proposal, it will encroach into the side yard setback.
No, not the side yard setback, the front yard setback, which was started to be allowed in 2021. I tried to get it grandfathered in before the HOD, but I was working on it for the whole summer before.
It's both. It's both.
It goes up to the side.
I think the side yard, on your drawing, side yard encroachment.
There's a 15-foot side
Right,
setback,
but
and it
now
goes
you
right up to
will
that.
reduce to
Well, no,
8'6".
It's over if your line that you drew in.
That might be a
But-
mistake, because I had to move a lot of stuff after we got the survey done back in.
Well, I also have a question about the topo, because from the building sections, it look like the entire garage will be below the grade. So I do not know, what do you think about that? Like, is that a drop per stock, or is that correct? That's one thing. The second thing is, look at the level height. So the level 1 to level 2 is only 9 foot, a little bit more than 9 foot. And within that depth, you want to accommodate a green roof. And the roofing's, a roof structure, as well as that tilled up garage door home mechanism. And then try to save the space to park the car. So that is like this architecture is have some practical things needed to consider. So I believe, I remember I have a similar comment way back to 2022, and I also want to encourage you to really take a dive into it to see if it's even feasible.
It's feasible. We might have to drop it down like 2 feet and have 2 steps going up into the house. And that way it would lower that wall on the section that you have there. It would lower, because the whole intention was the roof peels up towards the front to get that height over the garage door. And there's actually glass underneath, there's windows underneath there.
I thought that the idea is you want to walk out from the second floor. So the second floor level is set. And the first floor level is set because of the driveway. So you are set with this.
There's no driveway there. It's not currently there. We're gonna, there's a generator and an HVAC system that's in a really bad spot. So we're gonna move those to the side of the house, and that's gonna have to be excavated out to make a driveway there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you do probably want to reach out to civil engineer to look at your topo. Right.
Which, and what I was going to say is, I think you've gotten a lot of feedback tonight. And I know you were talking about, I'm trying to move this. What I was going to say is you're definitely, in my opinion, going to have to come back for another workshop. I don't see how this comes back for an action item, just because even though we've given you advice, like, I don't think there's a full concept yet. And if other people have comments, I want to let them make them, but I do want to try to move this along. I feel like we could be here for a very long time talking about this.
Well, next time you'll have a full set of drawings ahead of time to review, so that way it'll help be more efficient.
Mr. Plumphey, then Mr. Burns.
Just real quickly, and you don't have to respond to me, I just want to say one comment. Make sure you have the appropriate soil depth and structure to hold up the soil for your green on a landscape architect. 4 inches minimum for soil for sedum, then it goes up. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Burns.
Okay. Starting from the big picture, okay? Your house is up from the street, and your entrance was almost 1.5 stories above street level.
Yeah.
Original entrance.
It's a level, one level up, yes, yes.
And so when you see your house, you look up at your house. So when you have things that are at second floor level, let's call that the entry level, the original entry level, closer to the street, it becomes more prominent. Right? It's a 3-dimensional thing. And not unlike the house that we reviewed earlier on Ripon Road, the hardscape begins to compete because of the 3-dimensionality of your lot. My suggestion for that end of the house was that you drop the floor of the garage deeper so that you don't have to have that thing sticking out toward the street. And I think that will help to soften that end of it. It's potentially possible, and you need to work out how to deal with the setbacks and such, but that's the one thing I'm concerned about. Is in fact your rendering on the lower right there is what I'm talking about. It kind of looms up in front of the house.
Yeah, no, I
You
understand.
can't even see your original front door.
It was very conceptual, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but that is close to the current grade, and it shows how much it obliterates the original 5.
Yeah.
What is it, 4 windows and a door, I forget how many.
Yeah, 4 windows and
So
8
that's
windows.
something to consider, right? This is a 3-dimensional object, and you need to have to work at it from that. Also, when the HOD was created, everything that was on the house at that time was considered historic, and that includes the 1-story addition. Right, so that is something that we have to take into consideration when we're, saying that you need to be differential to the historic character of the property. So this rendering in particular, I think, is informative. One is it overwhelms, or almost eradicates the Hartman Cox addition. The chimney becomes this massive feature on the left side of the composition. But I'm also concerned that it obliterates the massing of the original house. The idea is that an addition should be deferential to the historic. So if it were set back some, if it had a slightly lower, the way that you've rendered it there, it looks like the 2nd-story addition comes over top of your original roof.
It does, because this part is 10 feet. This is a 10-foot roof in here. The floor is here because there's a basement underneath here. So the floor, this is a 10-foot roof, 10-foot ceiling.
Right.
And it's a very strange design,
Right.
but
So,
I understand what you're saying.
Then your 2nd-story addition there, it not only obliterates the massing of the Hartman, actually it's the Hartman addition. It's
Yeah, George Hartman. George
Hartman addition. And then it comes over top of the original massing of the original house. So in other words, it's not differential to the original massing of the house, so that could be pushed down or back or some way manipulated. And if the work is going to be that intrusive onto the Hartman addition, maybe consider dropping the ceiling in the Hartman addition.
Well, I looked at that yesterday in 3D, and if we did that, the ceiling would be 6 feet because it's raised up, the floor is raised up because of the basement.
But that's what Mr. Kalinsky was getting at, is
Yeah.
you have a difficult 3-dimensional problem.
Yeah.
And it's not just the house, it's the house in relation to the landscape and the roof lines, and, this is going to be a challenge. And so you're gonna have to take some time and figure that all out. It will not be easy.
Yeah, and that's why that's why we want to work with this team that's very talented, and they're going to spend a lot of time doing different studies on it to come back. And if you remember,
If that chap from England can get here and walk it, I think that would be very informative.
he might come here, but he does do work. He does do work here. But this we get water coming in here because that it's covered by earth up to those windows. There's a retaining wall there that was destroyed when the tree fell, and that's 75-year-old waterproofing. So all that has to be dug up anyways, and all the way on the back, the other side of the house so it's all going to have to be excavated to actually preserve the architecture, because the house is going to eventually collapse if it's not upgraded. There's just severe. We have Little Hunted Creek through the property. These are severe considerations.
Drainage next to your excavated basement.
Yeah.
And on the uphill side, you have water coming down, hits your wall, goes down.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put in a very elaborate drainage system on the uphill side.
There is one. I mean, I did talk to the stormwater team, Fairfax County's team, and we actually took care of the problems in the basement. It was a big project, and it drains out into where the creek is. But there's a high water table, and then underneath in the other section, there is a drain, and there's actually an existing downspout, well, that was there, and there's a drain that goes in the ground, and it goes out to a large culvert that where it goes into Goodman Park. There's that large culvert that goes into the road. So it's really not a stream anymore. It's important to understand it's really a stormwater runoff. It only fills up with water when there's a massive rainstorm.
Mr. Chairman, that was my comments.
Thank you. And
Just one more
those are really important.
I'm just wondering, did you consider, instead of going up, going back? It's just not an option?
It might be. We're
I'm
gonna
just
consider
looking at
everything.
your footprint, it looks like you have a large backyard. It might involve removing trees. And if that's something.
Which we're okay with now.
So there's also an outbuilding behind that, and it has an odd angle to it, so I
Yeah.
wonder, is that part of an original
It-
additional?
It's part of the
could it be
Goodman
protected?
architect, George Hartman designed that. Yeah.
George Hartman shit.
Yeah, it's literally,
So my question is,
it
could
needs
that
to be
also
rebuilt.
be protected?
It's a George Hartman shit.
Well, Mr. Bresco, I think we've given you a lot to consider.
Yeah.
I will also remind you that our meetings are recorded, and so you can watch a video. So
Right.
that's something you want to show your architect, and then he or she can come back and present to us again, and we can get more feedback.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And, yeah.
All right, that takes us out of items for workshop, and we do have one presentation, and that's on an update for the approved lease at the workhouse for building W15.
Hi,
Yes, ma'am.
my name is Joanne Feedy. I'm with the Fairfax County Department of Economic Initiatives, and I don't have anything for the slides. I just wanted to come and share a little bit. Sure. So I'm fairly new to the department. I've been with the Department of Planning and Development for the last dozen years, but this is a fairly new role for me. I'm taking over for Scott Sizer, who was formerly in that position. And, but I'm really excited that the Workhouse campus is part of our portfolio of projects that we're working on. And one of the first things that came to me when I started was in talking about the success of W13 and Bunnyman, we were actively working on finding a tenant for W15. And after doing a lot of marketing and back and forth, we settled on actually working with Bunnyman again on W15. So we will be bringing a lease forward to the Board of Supervisors on September 30th. And so we thought that given, I was at a board meeting, an ARB meeting a couple months ago when you all were talking about the glass blowing studio. And I heard some of the things resonate with me about your all interest in being a part of the success of the workhouse and seeing it as it's advancing. And it really is beginning to come alive. Every quarter, we check our attendance rates and how many people are coming to the campus using actually some really cool artificial intelligence data called Placer AI. And we're seeing quarter after quarter of record attendance. So the number of events, the number of activities, it's really coalescing there now. So we're really excited to bring a restaurant to the campus and think that will be a great complement. I imagine if anything relates to the exterior of that, they'll be bringing that forward to you all for review. I don't know that is going to be the case yet. It may just be some interior enhancements. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is something that we will be bringing back to you all, but we have just begun engaging with a consultant called Ashton Design and Torty Gallus Architects to work on a wayfinding and signage plan for the campus. So about 20 years ago, there was a sign plan approved for the campus, and it still sits in the records. We're ready to update that. The interpretive signage is old. A lot of people come to the campus and find it difficult to navigate, both as pedestrians and as vehicular. And so we're looking at a whole sort of comprehensive strategy. And I'll tell you how this started real fast, which is that this came about to me because Supervisor Stork and others have been talking about the need for a digital sign out in front of the campus along 123 in order to advertise for events and upcoming things. And my thinking was that it really doesn't make sense to look at something like that and not look at the whole of all of the needs of signage on the campus. So I'd rather do that as a holistic, sort of comprehensive look. And we have a great architect design team who's worked in historic districts and really understands this, and will present a lot of options. So we imagine the next couple of months we'll come back for maybe 3-4 months we'll come back for a workshop. We want to do that very early in the process before we've sort of established any design parameters, get your feedback, and then we'll come back for an approval later on. So.
Is that going to include like historic information about the history of the site?
Yes, we want to do some interpretive signage work. That might be a blend of both history and even talking about the arts now and kind of the interplay of the two. There's some really cool ideas of like maybe interpretive signage can also be interactive in that it also becomes an art project or something as people walk up to it. So we want to get creative
Have
with
you
that.
seen like digital story maps?
Yeah,
That could be cool, like people could
Yes.
scan a code and then,
Right.
but I don't know.
that's a great idea. Yeah. That's it.
Ms. Phoebe, thank you very much. Sorry you had to wait so long.
That's okay.
But thank you for.
You know,
presenting.
as a reformed architect, I went out to school, so I appreciate all this.
Right. Well, we appreciate you waiting. Thank you very much. All right. I would love to move through these board and staff items efficiently. So first, review and approval of both our minutes for our regular meeting on July 10th and our special meeting on August 7th. Did anybody have any changes to those minutes that they want to make? If they do not, I would entertain a motion. Ms. Mangum.
I move that the ARB approve the July 10th, 2025 and August 7th, 2025 meeting minutes and pay the clerk, Ryan Johnson.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Treasurer's report, our balance as of August 27, 2025 is $37,441.40. I don't think we have anything else on that. Administratively, the 2027 budget request went out. There was a little hiccup and then they didn't send it to my ARB email, but that has been resolved. And so I think we have till October to deal with that, is my understanding.
Yes, we'll bring it up to the October meeting.
Excellent. Discussion reports, Jason has communicated with us via email about the William H. Randall Estates National Register nomination, and I believe comments are due by tomorrow.
Yes, please.
So if anyone has any comments, please get them to Jason by tomorrow, September 12th. Jason, any other correspondence or announcements?
No other announcements.
I have one. Ms. Orr and I were on the Exceptional Design Awards jury. I was the chairman with all my architectural experience. Felt like a fish out of water. But those awards, the winners are now on the web. And so you can look if there's a link, but also if you just Google 2025 Exceptional Design Awards for Fairfax, it'll come up and you can see who the winners were. And there's a presentation with the Board of Supervisors on October 30th. October 30, and it's both for 2024 and 2025's winners, because it's my understanding they did not have such a reception last year.
Could you be so kind to send a link to everybody of
Yes.
that presentation?
Jason, remind me to forward it to you and I can.
Thank you.
So you can send it to everyone. Old business, the Centerville Planning Study update is going to be presented at the October 9, 2025 ARB meeting. Jason, anything else on that?
No, nothing else. That summarizes it.
Okay. And then under new business, the Lake Ann signage project will be presented at the October 9, 2025 ARB meeting.
Can we set a limit on the presentation?
Yeah.
Well, I will remind the board that this meeting was longer because we did not have our normal August meeting. But Chris and Jason and I met and I felt confident in my ability to try to be efficient. I think we were pretty efficient this evening. And we will see what comes in over the next month. And I remind all of you that when it's necessary, we do have that meeting time for a following Monday if we need it. But I think we're being especially sensitive this time of year because we did not have an August meeting. So there were a lot of people waiting for September, and the Centerville study kind of they were very nice to see the volume of our agenda and delay their presentation to October. So that was appreciated. So I ask for your grace, and I am confident that Jason and I, in consultation with Chris, will do our best to keep the agenda as reasonable as possible.
Who's presenting the Lake Ann signage?
I don't know the answer to that
The
question.
consultant is street to send.
It's Fairfax County staff. I don't have their name
Oh,
right in
so
front of
it's
me, but it'd be
internal.
a
Okay.
county presentation.
But this is a presentation, it's not a motion, right?
No, just a presentation. Any other new business? Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a request for continuing education reimbursement expense to attend the APT meeting in Providence, Rhode Island.
I think we can do that via motion. Yeah. I think Jason and I talked before the meeting, we might have to consult the Denise, but I don't see any harm in us considering a motion, and then if we have to do it a different way, we'll deal with it. But, yeah.
But what I wrote and sent to you was
Yes.
pursuant to the continuing education requirements for members of the ARB, I am requesting reimbursement not to exceed $1,100 to attend the Association for Preservation Technology Conference in Providence, Rhode Island, November 11th through 15th, 2025. Reimbursement will cover registration, 2 nights lodging.
Okay. There is a motion.
I second.
There's a second.
And
by
will
Ms.
you
Hammond.
please tell us anything that you think is interesting that applies to us when you get back?
I would be happy to report.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? That request is approved.
I abstain.
Mr. Burns will abstain, that's fair. We'll put that on the record. That request is approved, subject to if we have to do something else, we'll let you know, but I think we're probably all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Plumpy.
Yeah, a couple of suggestions for the last applicant work session. I know he's pretty persistent with his presentation, which is great, but if he starts bringing in architects and everything, we're gonna have a very long night. So
Well,
can we put a time limit with him?
We will, that is something to consider. I understand what I would say is that members of the board, when they ask questions, think their question is very short, and I agree with them. It's just that the answer from certain applicants is not always very short.
But he also brings in, he's making 3D printers in his basement, artesian welding.
But yes, we will, that is a conversation that I think we will have upon setting the agenda. We'll look at where we are and what we need to do, and we can certainly, myself and staff can notify Mr. Briscoe that there is, or any other applicant that has a longer presentation that will have to limit it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I think it's just curious from the standpoint of that there's other people and so forth, and.
Right,
I know he can tailor it.
and I don't want to shortchange anybody. I just felt that the project was in a very preliminary conceptual stage.
Hopefully the architects he brings in, do a good job and come and present it to us.
That's right.
And gain our approval.
Yes.
I'm sure they have similar architecture in England.
Yeah. Mr. Burns.
Yeah, just an observation. The workshops get unwieldy because Jason and Denise are understaffed. A lot of this stuff might have been answered by a fully staffed ARB administrative office.
Got it.
And before it gets to us. And so that's something that we have taken on because the county hasn't provided adequate staff for them to meet all their needs.
Understood. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in
See you,
October.
Chris.
See you, Chris. Peace.
Chris, feel better.
Wonderful tonight.
Thank
You very politely.